Welcome to RSA Conference 2025. We're recording from the Cyber Risk TV studio at Marriott Marquis in San Francisco. I want to thank the sponsor of today's media partner program, which is Cyber SG. I'm your host, Jeff Mann. I'm a co-host on Pulse Security Weekly. And joining me is Pramodh Rai, co-founder and CEO of a company called CyberSierra. Pramodh, welcome to RSAC Conference.
Thank you for having us.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into cybersecurity.
I spent about a decade working in the industry. My background is a software engineer. I took on some leadership roles in startups as they were scaling. And I started to realize that everyone is digitizing, massively digitizing. The whole world is doing that. And off the back of that, you're creating a huge amount of security trails, like security vulnerability, a trail of like attacks that can be, exposed at any point of time.
Right.
And then around COVID, I saw this become very real. Like a lot of companies around me were getting breached.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these I was personally involved in helping them out. And then I felt that the next decade of work is going to be around securing the tech stack that all of us are building. So literally I see it this way. I see that there's a bunch of people who are building companies, massively going to market, digitizing and so on. And then there's a set of people who are just securing what the first group are building, right?
Right.
And I feel that now it's time to start getting involved in the second side, such that we can build a more secure environment for ourselves digitally.
Okay. I'm guessing that's what prompted you to start this company, CyberSierra.
Yes, on 18 June 2021, that was the day, where my co-founder and I, Subhajit and I, we felt that this is the time to get started. We started then, and then we raised about 4.3 million at seed stage. We put together our team, started building our platform, and then going to customers in the market.
Great. So what does CyberSierra do? What's the platform do for us?
What we're doing is we're building a multi-agentic infrastructure to enable complete protection and compliance. What I mean by that is, if we look at cybersecurity in the past 40 years, it has been all about amplifying signals. You invest in a bunch of tools, they produce signals, you use other tools to shut them down, or you use humans to shut them down, right? You have managed security service providers or teams of cyber analysts that are doing this. Now what we're seeing is with AI, you can look at all the logs, you can look at all the misconfigurations, you can look at pretty much the entire stack. You're not looking for signals, you're looking at the whole stack. And we feel that this is the era where AI agents will get deployed into human teams.
Right.
And we see this happening in multiple verticals. We happen to be doing this in security compliance and cybersecurity.
I happen to have been working in this field for over 40 years. So I remember what it was like back in the very beginning, where it was simply companies, organizations looking and seeing this thing called the internet and wanting to connect. And of course the idea of the internet was open and free and fast communication and data sharing. And security, it wasn't that it was an afterthought, but it certainly wasn't a priority. And I work actually in the compliance field. I've been a qualified security assessor, a QSA, in the realm of PCI. So I'm very familiar with the PCI data security standard, which is for the last 20 years has been attempting to get companies to start thinking about how to secure sensitive data, a specific type of data, but the overarching principles, I think, have always been able to have been applied to whatever it is that you have that's valuable. Now, fast forward 20 years, the world's changed, the digital footprint, if you will, has changed. And then there's this AI thing coming along that's, depending on your perspective, is either going to destroy the world or save the world, depending on who you talk to and time of day. But I've noticed this year so far, even though it's very early in the RSAC conference, everybody knew that AI was going to be a buzzword and everybody was going to have something to say about it. But I'm also seeing compliance emerging as sort of a buzzword for the week. I've already seen many vendors. I've had many conversations in the day that I've been here talking about compliance. Why is that? Why do you think that's becoming a buzzword?
To me, it's not a surprise. It's I think this has to happen. Like when we talk to our customers, we have a couple of them globally. We find that they take cybersecurity seriously because they're driven by regulation and compliance.
Right.
If you remove regulation and compliance, then it's all about profits. It's all about customers. You know, that's what companies will focus on. but we need regulation and compliance to make sure that data is taken care of, tech stacks are secure, especially in financial institutions, in hospitals, and large enterprises, right, where a lot of our data is sitting. So we saw this ground truth as we were building CyberSierra, and now it feels like the world is catching on to it. So I'm surprised. I walked into this world thinking that compliance is where we start looking at cybersecurity, but I've come to see that actually there are two different worlds, and they are rapidly converging as well.
Right. I'm not sure what the experience has been like over the last 20, 30 years in Singapore or internationally. Obviously, I've done most of my work in the States, but compliance has always been, especially for a lot of my customers, the only thing that they know that they have to do in terms of security. Now, mileage varies. There are companies that get the idea of cybersecurity and want to do it because it's the right thing to do, but far and away, they're doing what they have to do, and they want to do the bare minimum. Common phrase, at least in the States, is the checkbox approach.
Yes.
And of course, that's opened up many opportunities for many vendors to come in and say, there's more to it than just checking the box. There's actually, you're producing something. What do you do with it? And what I'm hearing you say is that's where you're kind of picking the ball up and running with it, is you're now having a way for them to more efficiently actually process all the data that they're producing. You mentioned logs, but there's networking logs, there's event logs, all sorts of different types of logs, to the point where 30 years ago, there wasn't that much activity. Today, there's so much noise out there, data, that most people just don't know how to deal with it. And I think that's probably one of the biggest opportunities for AI to just come in and efficiently be able to consume everything, see everything, and then actually find the things and make companies have something that's actionable, that can actually improve their security posture.
That is, fully agree.
Great.
Like you mentioned this word, check the box, right?
Yep.
Maybe some people were taking it seriously. Even the people who are taking it seriously, the amount of data they have to sift through now is just beyond human.
Yep.
So you have organizations which are very well funded, and they're staffed with maybe 2 people in their security compliance team. Now, how can you expect 2 people to look at a mountain of logs? It's
Right.
just not going to happen.
Right.
So they resign to looking at maybe samples and then checking the box, because this is what I need, the bare minimum that I need to do to pass my audit requirements, right?
Sure.
So the problem still remains, however. Like, you still have vulnerabilities, you still haven't done the exercise properly, you haven't looked at your controls, your policies haven't been implemented well. Everyone knows this, everyone has been accepting it, as like, this is what we're going to put up with. But now you have a real opportunity where you can say, let us now apply technology to look at all of it,
Right.
as opposed to some of it. And a team of 2 can potentially do the work of 5 or 10 or even more, right? We're seeing these productivity gains, efficiency gains, at least in our discussions. And also we are hearing about this elsewhere. So I'm definitely a believer. And I think we're working towards a world where check the box is going to be less check the box. It's going to be more like, hey, now let's get it done.
Okay. In the notes that were provided, there was a mention of something called agentic infrastructure.
Yes.
New term to me. So educate me, educate our audience. What are you talking about when you refer to agentic infrastructure?
Yeah, I think that in the market right now, a lot of people have different views of what agentic infrastructure is. Let me share with you our point of view as we are
Sure.
building CyberSierra. When
Okay.
we have this map in our mind, which we call the reference architecture, that we build out, and then we build AI agents and AI analysts based on that. So the reference architecture that we have, we talk about the AI stack where you have the foundation model. This could be your OpenAI, Gemini, or a custom large language model. We don't play in that space. We just
Okay.
use what the best work is being put out there by all of these companies that are very well funded and doing really just frankly amazing work, right? We take that, and then we also make some modifications to the system prompt to make sure that data is secure. Privacy is looked out for, security of the data is looked out for. We also have a knowledge graph in place where every time we run our scans, we build an updated view of your assets. This would be your people, your applications, and your devices.
Okay.
And then we expose a user interface to the user, much like what you see in your prompt window on ChatGPT or Gemini. So users can also query this data, right?
Right.
Now, the combination of these allows a few agents to run in your enterprise stack environment, where they can do tasks like search, code execution, search, retrieval, report generation, and so on and so forth. This is what we call the reference agentic infrastructure that we have at CyberSierra.
Okay.
And then we apply this for different tasks, which could be control verification, gap assessment, triage, and so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
So we speak within the company about how you have AI analysts. Each analyst is powered by 3 to 5 agents.
Okay.
And these agents can do part of the work that you would typically put in a job description.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When I think of the term infrastructure, of course, I'm going back to the very beginning where it was hardware, racks and racks and racks of servers and workstations and so on and so forth. But part of or a significant part of the evolution of technology in this digital world we live in is so much more things are being done in software. There's terms that have been thrown around like serverless, serverless activities and things like that. Me being old and maybe a little bit stodgy, I think, well, okay, everything's running on an application and everything's done in an application and software, but it's still running on a computer, isn't it? And the computer is still somewhere, isn't it? Now, when you say infrastructure, you're enveloping everything.
Yes.
Obviously, a lot of this is happening in the cloud these days.
Yes.
So how do you play in the cloud?
I would say that when I refer to infrastructure, it's not physical; it's digital infrastructure.
Okay.
Eventually, you do get into the physical side, but the work that we do, the way we build it up, I say is at the application and orchestration layer, where we're orchestrating across base models. And then we are building an application, which would be, now we call it an AI analyst, where you have, let's say you have a GRC analyst, you have the AI version of that. Or a security analyst, you have an AI version of that, which is working in conjunction with you to do task. You direct it and you manage it, right?
So I guess classically or traditionally, the GRC function is collecting a lot of the data points, the outputs of a lot of the systems. So I guess what I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm hearing it correctly, you're focused more on the outputs, what everything is producing in terms of logs and reports and activity and things like that.
Yes, so you can imagine
that makes more sense.
if you're like you have a human and then you have an AI agent, right?
Right.
So we look at logs, we look at different data sources, we look at maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 applications as we prepare for our audits, right? Now what you're doing is you're directing an analyst, which is using AI, you're directing an AI analyst to look at all of these logs. So as long as you can get the logs in place, or you can direct the AI analyst to the right data sources, then this AI analyst can go and do part of your task, which could be involving looking at regulatory documents, looking at your policies, looking at controls in your policies, and recommending to you, hey, look, you have this set of gaps or these controls are missing. And then you decide, okay, now let me take some action on this. So that's why we say we are deploying AI agents into human teams.
Gotcha. So, and you said that the AI agents that you're using are built by somebody else.
It's built by us.
It's built by you.
The AI agents are built by us.
But sorry, I'm not good on the terminology. The platform, the basis, you mentioned some of them. They're what you're using.
Yes. Let me share with you. If you are my customer, what will I
Please.
give to you?
Okay.
Right? So I would give you a software platform, which we call a system of record.
Okay.
Much like how you see in the market, there is ServiceNow, there is Archer, there's a bunch of tools that are out there, right?
Okay.
In addition to the software system of record, I would be giving you this GRC agent. This is conceptual though. In reality, it is made up of multiple AI analysts.
Okay.
Each of these AI analysts is run by 3 to 5 agents. We built all of this. What we didn't build is the base model. The base model is being built by our smart folks at OpenAI, at Gemini, and multiple other large language models in the market.
I got you.
But we assemble this together. We have our system of record. We embed our AI agents into the system of record, or we can give it to you separately, and then you get tasks done.
And then the training that you're doing on the AI agents is feeding in all the regulatory compliance frameworks out there, or the relevant ones to the client?
We want to map all of it.
All of them.
We want to map all of it globally. Excuse me. We want to map all of it globally across jurisdictions, because even after you have looked at all the documents, this is the fun part actually, like it's still just a few gigabytes of data.
Okay.
right? Like our friends who are building these large language models, their view is to look at all documents, images, text that's been generated by humanity. So they have a big data problem. There's a lot of compute that needs to go into there. For
Right.
us, when we say, hey, we just want to look at all the regulatory documents, you actually have people in companies that are doing this, right? They are in large enterprises. They may look at maybe 15 or 20 jurisdictions, sometimes even more. But for an AI agent, that's simple because it's just a few gigabytes of data.
Right.
For us, it becomes overwhelming, but for a computer, it's actually not.
Right.
So yes, we want to look at all of your policies, all of your controls, all of your regulatory documents, all of your evidences, all of the images that you have, any reports that you have been writing. This is data that we want to ingest so
Gotcha.
that we can train the AI to do part of the work that humans are doing in a way that's incomplete, broadly speaking.
Great. I have more questions, but unfortunately, we've already run out of time.
I was just getting started.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, Pramodh, today for joining us today and giving us this crash course. To find more information out about Cyber Sierra, you can go to securityweekly.com/Cyber Sierra RSAC. And for information about RSAC 2025 coverage by Cyber Risk Alliance, including our other 6 interviews from our media partner program with CyberSG, you can go to securityweekly.com/RSAC. Thanks again, Pramodh, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.